Okay, today we're looking at lesson 1.3, order of operations, begins on page 16 in the text. So what we have today is to use the order of operations to evaluate algebraic expressions. Notice we have not started dealing with algebraic equations yet. We're just evaluating the expression itself. First thing we have is some definitions. Order of operations are the rules established to evaluate an expression involving more than one operation. Rules, more than one operation. Rules to solve, rules to evaluate for more than one operation. More often than not, order of operations are taught and are learned by you guys as the acronym PEMDAS, PEMDAS. You'll hear it red ass. More often than not, people will call it, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. All it is a way that somebody once upon a time came up with to remember, and we'll talk about what each of those means in just a minute. Example number 1 says evaluate the expression 4 times x squared plus 3 when x's value is 3. The first thing you need to do is substitute this in. Notice that substituting the value in is not part of this right here, and we'll talk about that again in just a minute. You have to substitute first. So in place of x, we're plugging in the number 3. So now you have 4 times 3 squared plus 2. Once you substitute it in, you're going to do exponents first, where it says evaluate the power. There's a power that says 3 squared, so that becomes 3 times 3, which gives you 9. Then you're going to do multiplication, where it says evaluate the product. 4 times 9 is 36. And you're going to finish it up with addition, 36 plus 3. Evaluate the sum, you add it up. So right here, again, this is your blueprint to make sure you understand the order, but it's not always going to look just like this. Sometimes you're going to skip some steps. There are no parentheses to do, and we'll talk about the exact order of operations in just a minute. Exponents, the E stands for exponents. We had a power, evaluate the power. Then we went to multiplication and division. That's where it says do the product. And then we evaluated the sum. That means addition for addition and subtraction. Okay, on the back of the sheet or in the margin, copy this problem down here. No, there's 2 of them, and work those 2 problems. Take about 35 seconds to do those. Okay, we actually went a full minute right there to make sure you guys had plenty enough time. It says evaluate when x is 3. So that means in place of x, we're plugging in 4 times 3 squared minus 8. The next thing you do after that is you do the exponent step. You do 3 squared, which means 3 times 3 is 9. So now 4 times 9 minus 8. 4 times 9, you do the multiplication next, is 36. And you finish up with the addition and subtraction. In this case, it's subtraction. 36 minus 8 is, in fact, 28. The other one says 27 divided by x squared plus 3. Again, x squared is 3 squared. So you have 27 divided by that plus 3. Do the exponents next. 3 squared means 9. So 27 divided by 9 plus 3. Do the division step next. 27 divided by 9 is 3 plus 3. And finish up with the addition, 3 plus 3, in order to get 6. Example number 2 says use the left to right rule. If you look over in the little bubble that's out on the left. It says operations that have the same priority, such as multiplication and division. They're on the same priority line. And addition and subtraction. They're on the same priority line. Are performed left to right. Just like you read, just like you've done steps in the past. You don't, what that means is you do not skip over division to do multiplication. You do not skip over subtraction to do addition. That's why when you see most teachers write this out, we'll write it out as parentheses, exponents. Multiplication and division are always together, and addition and subtraction are together, instead of just writing them in a straight column with M on top of D and A on top of S. The example says the left to right rule, says work from left to right. 28 minus 7 minus 4 means you do 28 minus 7 first, because that's the leftmost subtraction problem. 28 minus 7 is 21. Then 21 minus 4 is 17. The next problem says this is when you're doing multiplication and division. There's addition that in B, so you have to do the division first. So you do 9 divided by 3, and then that gives you 15 plus 3 minus 4. Then you work from left to right. 15 plus 3 is 18, and then 18 minus 4 is 14. So in that case, you are doing division first, then working left to right, addition and subtraction. Again, copy this next problem, these next 3 problems now. Take a little bit better than a minute. May want to use the back or the margin. Okay, A says 32 minus 16 plus 2. Do not skip over that subtraction to do that addition. You do 32 minus 16 and you get 16 plus 2. And when you put those two together, you get 18. The next one says 48 divided by 3 times 2. You do not skip over the division to do the multiplication. 48 divided by 3 comes first. That's 16 times 2 is 32. And the last one says 12 plus 6 divided by 3 minus 2. This is 2 different priorities. Division comes before addition and subtraction. So you do the division part, 6 divided by 3, and you get 2. Bring everything else down, 12 plus 2 minus 2. Now you work from left to right. Addition and subtraction on the same priority. So you do 12 plus 2 and get 14, minus 2 and get 12. Here is your order of operations listed out. Fill in the blanks. It says first do the operations that occur within grouping symbols. Now, most people are familiar with grouping symbols called parentheses. You do what's inside parentheses. But also, there's a set called brackets that look like that. Most of you guys are familiar with that. Some of you are familiar with the next set of grouping symbols that are called braces. They look like that. Then there are other sets of grouping symbols, including radical signs. When things are under the radical sign, you treat it as if what's underneath there is inside of a parentheses. And also fractions. 2x or 2 plus 3 divided by 4, you treat the top of this as if it's inside of a grouping symbol. It's not going to be there shown for you, but you treat it on the top of a grouping symbol. Again, in that acronym that helps you remember this, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, this first step is represented with a P, and it's for parentheses. The second one is evaluate powers. That is the E part of please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Powers are exponents. As we get further into this course, I'm going to teach y'all that there's not only exponents right there, but also radicals, but that'll be way later. The next one is multiplication and division. M and D. Do not skip over D to do M. They're always together. From left to right, multiplications and divisions. And then finally, the last step is additions and subtractions, or AS, from left to right. Do not skip over subtraction to do addition. That'll be the most common mistakes I see. Students will write it out as PEMDAS in a row, and they will skip over division to do multiplication and skip over subtraction to do addition. That's the most common mistake I see. Example number 3 is using a fraction bar. That's what I told you a minute ago. Fraction bars act like a set of parentheses. You do what's on the top of one and what's on the bottom of one. So it says evaluate the power. Still work through your order of operations. Please excuse my dear and then Aunt Sally. When you are inside of that grouping symbol, the innermost grouping symbols, you work the order of operations in that order each time. So at the bottom of that fraction, you have 6 squared, so we're doing 6 times 6 to get 36. Then at the top, you're doing the multiplication, 5 times 3 to get 15. Then you're doing your addition and your subtraction at the bottom by adding 13 and 36 to get 49 from left to right. And then 49 minus 4 is 45. So you have 15 over 45. Then it's as simple as simplifying. The number 15 goes into itself 1 time, and it goes into 45 3 times to make it 1/3. Remember, never leave a fraction in an unsimplified form such as that. Copy this problem down. Take about a minute to knock this one out. Okay, let's take a look at this one. Remember your order of operations, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. There are no parentheses, but there is a grouping symbol, that fraction, so you can treat it as if it looks like this. Now you do the innermost part of the parentheses first, and again, you work through your order of operations. The next step says to evaluate exponents or powers. We have a set of exponents or powers, 3 squared, which means 3 times 3, which is going to give us 9 at that spot. Bring everything else down, 5 plus 9 minus 2. At the top, 24 times 3. Again, work your order of operations. At the top, we have multiplication. We can do 24 on our next step, multiplication and division. We can multiply 24 times 3 and get 72. So 72 over 5 plus 9 minus 2. Then do your addition and subtraction. 5 plus 9 is 14. Minus 2, and 72 is at the top. 14 minus 2 is going to be the number 12, and 72 is at the top. And again, if you don't know what the greatest common factor is that goes into the number 72, If you don't know that 12 goes into it, or you do know that 2 goes into it because it's an even number. 2 times 6 is 12, and 2 times 36 is 72. Now we can look at it and say, well, yeah, we know the number 6 goes into both of those because 36 divided by 6 is 6, and into itself is over 1. There's no reason to write it as over 1, so it simplifies to 6. And then quickly, let's look at the checkpoint problems. 29 minus 4b when b equals 6. In place of b, we're plugging in 6. 29 minus 4 times 6. Multiply 4 times 6 to get 24. So 29 minus 24 is 5. 18 minus 42 over c. 18 minus 42 over 7. That means 42 divided by 7. 18 minus 42 divided by 7 is 6. 18 minus 6 is 12. Number 3 says 2 times 3 squared plus 4 over 7. 3 squared, you evaluate the power first. 3 squared is 9. 2 times 9 plus 4 over 7. 2 times 9, you do the multiplication next, is 18 plus 4 over 7, which is 18 and 4/7. I think we can leave it as a mixed number. That's the easiest way to do that, yes. 18 and 4/7. 22 minus 4 to the third divided by 8 times 3. Again, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Do your innermost parentheses first. And once you're inside parentheses, that's this set here, work your order of operations. So do your exponents next. 4 to the third power means 4 times 4 is 16, times one more 4 is going to be 64, divided by 8. Again, it's still in parentheses. That didn't go away. And then this is, okay, so 22 minus 64 divided by 8 times 3. That's still in parentheses, that 22 minus 64 divided by 8. Then you do the innermost part of parentheses. You do 64 divided by 8 here, and you get 8. So now you have 22 minus 8. That's still inside of the group and symbols, which create parentheses out of it. 22 minus 8, 22 minus 2 is going to be 20. Then another 6 is going to be 14. So 22 minus 8 is going to be 14 times 3. And 14 times 3, 4 times 3 is 12. 3 times 1 plus 1 is going to be 42.